It's time once again. The hype continues to build for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. What's up, Zelda fans? It's your boy HMK. And we have a brand new ad for the game which shows up some really cool gameplay and confirms a bunch of things. And this ad is infamous if you know why. Before we get right into it, I want to remind y'all that if we hit 200,000 subscribers here on YouTube before the game launches, I'll be giving away multiple copies of the game, including a collector's edition and a special edition Switch OLED. Alright, let's dive in. This ad is broken up into parts when it comes to specific people playing specific sections of Tears of the Kingdom. For this, I'll be focusing on the gameplay aspects. In the first segment, we see the player use the paraglider to approach Hyrule Castle, which is floating above the ground, in which we have a very clear shot of what's going on and how it's being lifted by the power of Malice. Which insinuates to me that just like in Breath of the Wild, we can go straight for Ganondorf, who I believe is in the castle. If not, then something super important is there. But then again, we don't actually see the player land on Hyrule Castle. If anything, the mouse could just repel you. But hey, thanks to this commercial, looks like we're gonna have to figure it out for ourselves, if you know what I mean. The next segment shows a player playing the game at a laundromat, which is gonna be pretty funny because this is gonna be multiple attempts of getting to a specific part in the game. A part with rails, which they fall off of. You know, if it was me, I think I could get up there with just, walking on the rails, but I mean... Next up, we have a couple of familiar sites in which a group of friends are telling their homie to build a flying raft, which is very similar to what we saw in one of the trailers. But a couple of things to point out. It seems that this raft is going to have two generators, and you could tell that they're generators at this point because one of them is expending energy. So the more energy you got, the longer these things could stay active. Also in the distance, you see the circle of rocks? You know what that means. In the next segment, yeah, still no luck. Now, here is one of the money shots, and there's even more after this, so stay tuned. Here we see Link fighting what is finally confirmed to be a Gleeok, but specifically a Flame Gleeok, which confirms a number of things. One, that these are Gleeoks, and man, they're huge. Two, they're going to have world boss status, just like Hinoxes and Taluses and Moldulgas in Breath of the Wild. Two is the heavy insinuation that there are going to be elemental variants to Gleeoks, which is probably going to be like Thunder Gleeok, Flame Gleeok. I'm all down for that, more types of enemies. And I'm looking at this image and I gotta tell you guys again, like, wow, this thing is really big. But then as the player goes to confront the Gleeok, we see two new variations of Zonai weaponry that Link is wielding. A cannon attached to the shield, which we've seen this cannon before that was attached to a stick that shoots out a blue explosive orb. And a really cool new looking Zonai sword, which is more than likely one of the horns that drops from a construct. But also something else that is really cool is that look at Link's health. On the first row of hearts, which capped at 15 in Breath of the Wild, now has 17 hearts. So what's going on, Nintendo? Are we gonna... I'm thinking that it's gonna cap at 20 hearts per row, and that just tells me that there's gonna be a lot in this game to push your health to the maximum, which is something that I am so down for. Moving on to the next segment, we see some quick thinking when facing a bunch of enemies in the overworld, in which the player uses Ascend in order to dodge a bunch of bokoblins and a moblin by going to a higher area in one of their encampments. After that, we see what I feel is actually a cutscene from the previous trailer in which a giant Zonai boss is coming out of the wall in order to face down the player. But this isn't actual gameplay, so we're going to move on from that. Now, this is the one that has me excited the most. In the dark depths, Link attaches a specific plant to an arrow, fires it into the darkness, it hits a tree, or a root, or whatever. And this plant illuminates the surrounding area. You can almost call it a light bulb. Yeah. But the craziest thing, as everything lights up, you can tell we are in the massive underground that lies beneath Hyrule. This area is huge, and we have this giant thing. I don't know what this is. This looks like probably some amber leaking into a root. But this is crazy. It's giant, it's dark, it's dank, it is ready to be explored. And for those saying that, oh, this could be a cave in the overworld on the surface, nah, look at that Z-axis on the map. Yeah, we're in the negatives. Almost -500 to be specific. Hey, if you want a point of comparison, remember in the Mr. Aonuma gameplay demo, when he first reached the first Sky Island he was going to, it was around the 500 range above the ground, but then in the other segment, it went as high as 1400. So at negative 479, that's pretty deep, and who's to say we can't go further than that? But yo, the fact that it's dark and it needs illumination just has me giddy. And in the final gameplay segment, we finally made it across! Alright. I'm pretty sure I could have walked over that though, but... And the commercial ends with a pretty cool tagline, in which it states, "You'll be surprised on what you can do when you master your imagination." And I hope you're ready for that. This looks insane so far, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, share it to spread the love, and subscribe to HMK. Remember, 200k before the game releases, giving away multiple copies of the game, and a Switch OLED. So until the next video, this has been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.